The gavel fell at exactly 11:47 a.m. today in Abuja, and with it, the hopes of millions came crashing down. Justice James Omotosho just made a decision that will keep Nnamdi Kanu locked away in Nigeria's northwest, far from his lawyers, far from his doctors, and far from any realistic chance of mounting a proper legal defense. The application to transfer him from Sokoto back to Abuja? Struck out. The request for medical access? Denied. The plea for reasonable lawyer contact? Rejected. This happened in the Federal High Court just hours ago, and what I'm about to reveal will show you this is bigger than one man. This is about the future of justice in Nigeria. Let's break down exactly what happened in that courtroom today. Justice Omotosho ruled that the application filed by lead counsel Barrister Aloy Ejimakor lacks merit. That's legal language for request denied, case closed. Nnamdi Kanu stays in Sokoto Correctional Center 800 kilometers from Abuja. The legal team had presented three major arguments. First, the distance problem. His lawyers must travel 12 hours through bandit-infested highways just to get a signature on legal documents. Every consultation is a cross-country expedition. How can you mount a proper defense when basic lawyer-client communication requires a dangerous journey? Second, the health crisis. Kanu has a documented heart condition requiring specialized cardiac care. The Sokoto facility has a basic clinic. His medical team is in Abuja. The legal team argued this violates his right to adequate health care. Third, fair hearing rights. They argued that keeping him so far from his legal team deliberately frustrates his appeal against the life imprisonment sentence handed down in November 2024. Distance, they said, has become a weapon. The court heard all of this and rejected all of it. Why? Because the federal government made one powerful argument that changed everything. Adegboyega Awomolo led the government's legal team, and his strategy was brilliantly simple: paint Nnamdi Kanu as a national security threat. He argued that Kanu is a high-profile convict, yes, they're using that word now, whose presence in Abuja would trigger mass protests, sit-at-home orders, and potential violence in the capital. He told the court that the correctional service has full legal discretion to determine where inmates are held, as long as the facility meets security standards. He argued that the inconvenience of lawyers traveling doesn't outweigh the national security interest of keeping him away from the volatile southeast and the capital, and Justice Omotosho agreed entirely. The judge stated, "The discretion to determine where a convict serves his time lies with the correctional service, provided the facility is secure. The inconvenience of lawyers traveling to Sokoto does not outweigh national security interests." On the medical issue, the court ruled that Sokoto Correctional Center has adequate facilities and that if specialized care is needed, prison authorities have the power to arrange it. But here's the question nobody wanted to answer. Will they actually arrange it? Anyone who understands Nigerian prison bureaucracy knows that power to arrange and will actually arrange are two very different things. Let me take you inside that courtroom this morning. The atmosphere was electric with tension. Journalists, family members, supporters who managed to get past security, everyone sitting in absolute silence as Justice Omotosho read his ruling. Barrister Ejimakor sat forward, his expression growing darker with every paragraph. You could see the moment he realized they'd lost. The ruling took over an hour. Point by point, the judge dismantled their arguments. When he finally said the words, "Application is hereby struck out," the silence was deafening. Then came the reactions. Ejimakor stood, visibly shaken. Some family members in the gallery dropped their heads. One woman began crying softly. Security immediately moved to strategic positions, anticipating an outburst that never came. Outside, it was a different scene entirely. DSS operatives, riot police, and Civil Defense Corps had cordoned off the entire court perimeter. They came prepared for chaos. Hundreds of supporters gathered as close as they were allowed. When word filtered out, application struck out, the reaction was immediate. Some supporters wept openly. Others stood frozen in disbelief. A few shouted at the police lines, but there was no violence, just raw, crushing disappointment. Barrister Ejiofor emerged and spoke to the press. His words were defiant. "This is a miscarriage of justice. They didn't move him to Sokoto to protect him. They moved him there to hide him, to break him, to make Nigerians forget him. We will appeal this decision immediately." But the reality is stark. Even if they win on appeal months from now, how much damage will have been done? How many legal deadlines will have passed? How much will his health have deteriorated? This is the part of today's ruling that should alarm every Nigerian regardless of how you feel about Nnamdi Kanu politically. The man has a documented heart condition. His legal team submitted medical reports to the court. They weren't asking for luxury treatment, they were asking for access to cardiologists and proper monitoring. The court's response? The facility has a standard clinic. If he needs specialists, authorities can arrange it. Let's talk about what that actually means in practice. In Nigerian prisons, getting approval for a simple blood test can take weeks. Medications are frequently delayed or unavailable. External specialist visits require multiple levels of bureaucratic approvals that can be delayed for security reviews, administrative processing, or simply ignored. And here's the critical part. Kanu's lawyers are now 12 hours away. Who's monitoring his day-to-day health? Who's ensuring he gets his cardiac medication on time? Who's advocating when something goes wrong? His family can't visit regularly, it's too far. His lawyers can't drop by for welfare checks. He's essentially isolated in a facility that, by the court's own admission, only has standard medical capabilities. This isn't just about legal access anymore. This is about whether any prisoner, has the right to adequate health care. And today, the court said, only if it's convenient for the system. Think about the precedent this sets. If the government can keep a high-profile defendant with known health issues this far from proper medical care, what protection does any Nigerian in custody have? Now, let's talk about what this ruling means for Kanu's actual defense. His appeal against the November 2024 life sentence is currently pending at the Supreme Court. That appeal is his last real chance at freedom. It requires extensive legal research, multiple strategy sessions with his client, detailed witness preparation, hundreds of documents that need his review and signature, constant communication between lead counsel and client. Every single one of those things just became exponentially harder. Imagine you're Barrister Ejiofor. Every time you need to discuss case strategy, you have two options. Option 1, drive 12 hours through roads where kidnapping and banditry are daily occurrences. Risk your life for a 2-hour consultation, drive 12 hours back. Option 2, fly to Sokoto. If flights are available, spend thousands of naira per trip. Deal with prison visiting protocols that can delay you for hours or days. Now multiply that by every legal document, every strategic decision, every witness interview, every court filing that requires client input. The court acknowledged this logistical nightmare. They just said it doesn't matter. Justice Omotosho stated that the court did order prison authorities to allow lawyer access within reasonable administrative protocols. But here's what reasonable administrative protocols means in reality. Lawyers must submit visit requests days in advance. Security screenings can delay or cancel visits without explanation. Visit times are strictly limited. Some documents may be rejected for security review, phone calls may be monitored or restricted, and all of this assumes the prison officials cooperate fully, which, given the political nature of this case, is far from guaranteed. This is what makes today's ruling so devastating. The legal team isn't just fighting the charges anymore, they're fighting geography, bureaucracy, and time itself. There's a political dimension here that we need to address directly. This ruling comes exactly 24 hours after reports emerged of increased U.S. military involvement in Nigeria's northwest to combat banditry. The timing is interesting. Some analysts suggest the government feels confident that Sokoto is now secure enough to hold a high-value political prisoner. The increased military presence, they argue, makes the region safer.